Lewis Hamilton is undergoing exceptional sorting out with Ferrari under the TPC regulations, and it seems like he is going to, in the end, get his arms at the SF24. What Hamilton unnoticed desperately after the prevent of the 2024 season in Abu Dhabi is probably compensated with a Pelly test for the 2026 tire specifications. However, what's extra crucial is that the seven-time international champion has already had have an effect on the automobile improvement, primarily based mostly on the present day finding out manner. With this in mind, how precious will Hamilton's experience display to be? And greater. Importantly, will he in the long run bust the myth that he isn't always properly at growing a vehicle in the championship? Triumphing manner, one of the great transfers within the global has ultimately materialized, and Hamilton commenced out the locating out with Ferrari, and make no mistake, the team become prepared for this from day one. The simulator paintings that emerge as accomplished from each Hamilton and Lear changed into followed through a test in Fano, the personal circuit of Ferrari with the F175, and then the organization proceeded with a 1.0 km 3-day finding out in Barcelona. Many believed that this have end up an excessive amount of to manipulate, even for a motive pressure like Hamilton. Because of the reality, Ferrari has packed all the 1,000 km allowed in a 3-day length. But despite the fact that there wasn't more they might have executed, so as to preserve him on top of things with the current-day model of Ferrari's automobiles. Of course he is but to energy the SF24, which turned into the maximum aggressive from the ground effect generation along facet the F175, with the distinction that the SF24 has lengthy long past upwards in normal basic performance, and the F175 has lengthy beyond backwards. Hamilton, however, failed to manage to get a whole lot of time with the SF23 in Barcelona, because of the truth he suffered from a crash that in the end ended the opportunities of Lear to keep the trying out as nicely. This is some trouble that could have plagued the possibility that the 7 times worldwide champion has waited for goodbye. However, despite the fact that Ferrari isn't always involved a unmarried bit, due to the reality he and Lear were positioned on a completely precise software all through the trying out in Barcelona. Hamilton labored at the tire management an area that he turned out to be missing seriously in Mercedes, as Ferrari do no longer want to risk a few aspect with the car's ordinary overall performance. If Hamilton have come to begin the season in a bad manner, glaringly they're looking ahead to valuable feedback from the Brits component, and the reality that the changes to the automobile have already been made, such as transferring the cockpit a piece backwards and jogging at the metals. A complex technique for the engineers goes to show that the Maranello institution will go to any duration on the subject of offering Hamilton with what he basically needs to win the 8th championship, and that they have been blessed through a completely right response from his facet as reviews country that the comments changed into pretty massive, and that the engineers have already located out plenty as to which direction they ought to skip in the upcoming season. Even though the trying out changed into done on older spec motors, it did not always imply that they'll be unusable, due to the truth on the very middle of it. The ground effect is the identical, and with the 2025 model of the auto being 99% different, it's even though now not going to be a revolution because of the strictness of the tips. This is why the feedback of Hamilton is very important, and the truth that he already started getting used to the braking device because of the outstanding discs which can be used by Ferrari goes to reveal that he is already adapting thoroughly to the automobile. However, the crash that passed off at Flip 12 at a pace of 124 mph. The impressions from Hamilton have been outstanding to the Ferrari engineers, and the SF23 changed into now not as terrible as they notion, although it received only one race at some stage in the entire season. What's really worth mentioning is that the rest of the 23 races were gained via one car, the RB19, a place that Hamilton has superior plenty in comparison to his time in Mercedes. In addition to Caro signals time in the SF-23 is the start manner further to freeing the capture on time. The Spaniard has pretty some troubles with this factor of the automobile on the same time as being with Ferrari, and the reality that Hamilton is already making development with machinery that belongs underneath the TPC pointers ought to quality advocate right news for him inside the foreseeable destiny. I understand that loads of you will bash him for the crash in Barcelona and say that he ought to not have it in him anymore. However, the fact is, hugely one of a kind, the reality that he crashed approach, that he driven the auto to great extremes, just so allows you to extract maximum capacity and remarks out of the car and provide it to the engineers in the shape of usable information. You need to push the car to simply the most, and this is exactly what Hamilton has been doing with the SF-23, and quite frankly we do now not count on him to do a little component, a notable deal, plenty much less with the SF-24 as well because of the fact there is a lot at stake for his legacy as we talk. The strain for Hamilton is of direction. Giant he is going to have arguably the nice qualifier at the grid sitting next to him inside the storage, and that applies even extra expectation on his usual performance than we can, probably don't forget, inside the beyond couple of years, we have been given visible that the seven-time international champion struggled masses with the only lap regular average performance of the Mercedes cars, which modified into usually Mercedes' fault because of the reality they were making adjustments to the auto on the last minute. No matter the reality that the test that is looking forward to Hamilton in Barcelona is ready to have even greater impact on his adaptation method to Ferrari, and the Brit made sure that he is going to depart no stone unturned in phrases of receiving remarks from distinctive drivers who've driven the Ferrari. The seven-time global champion has gone to greater quantity and has talked more than one times to Sebastian Vettel prior to the trendy test that is prepared for him in Barcelona, orchestrated through Pelli reports from Italy. You see that Hamilton and Vettel have been chatting continuously in the past couple of days, in which Hamilton shared his feelings approximately the car, and Vettel, who changed into part of Ferrari from 2014 to 2020, has shared his very non-public mind as to what areas Hamilton can decorate. Improving now, masses of hope is invested inside the SF-24 test in Barcelona, as it's efficiently a manner for Hamilton to get used to the cutting-edge machinery that Ferrari implemented in F1, and glaringly be one step in the direction of adapting to the 2025 car at the equal time, as this is going to be a modern-day method for him. And the state of affairs might be a bit greater hard for Hamilton, because of all the massive trying out that has been completed in the beyond couple of months. Tremendous F1 legends have raised their worries about Hamilton staying in form enough throughout everything of the season on the age of 40, because it's going to be very difficult for him to fight for a championship closer to more youthful balls like Elier Foran and the McLaren duo at the identical time, as moreover being twice the age as them be that, as it could, Hamilton has a victorious spirit, and on the same time as crew orders should in all likelihood come faster, in preference to later if 2025 proves to move in a advantageous cause. Pressure's manner. There is no doubt that the seven-time worldwide champion is not going to backtrack without to fight. Martin Brunzell believes that Ferrari won't waste as a exceptional deal time as McLaren did in phrases of placing ahead group orders, and that Hamilton may also want to have spherical 3 races to expose that he can combat for the championship if he does not get to address the auto. On this span of 3 races relaxation, confident that LA goes to be the popular cause pressure for the relaxation of the season, and Hamilton may need to must appearance beforehand to 2026 and the modern-day guidelines earlier than he can return the strike over again. Elaborating in addition on this, Brundle stated, "There are not any excuses at this degree for everyone, even the inexperienced folks. However, you may supply the novices half of a season to get their act together. Maximum. They will expect any individual like Lewis to have aced the humans round him, and the car within to 3 races to be sincere. Never underestimate Lewis Hamilton. Of course, this could be stated with a piece of bias, because of the truth a British cause force left a British primarily based crew, and the feedback are stated through way of a British media outlet Sky F1. But Ferrari has complete take delivery of as real within Hamilton, and by manner of the entirety we noticed until now we can tell with self-belief that he is being handled massively exclusive as compared to how Mercedes dealt with him from 2022 onwards. With all this in mind, what do you remember Hamilton's remarks to the engineers in Ferrari so far, and additional? Importantly, do you discover that there is an opportunity for him to win all of it within the first chance he's going to acquire in 2025? Permit us to understand within the comments under. And if you're interested by Wolf's modern-day bombshell to the Formula One grid, ensure to test out the video. It is appearing for your display screen proper now.